But first, Chelsea go into tomorrow's Champions League tie with Benfica with a little pressure on Enzo Maresca after another home defeat in the Premier League. Gary Cottrell was there for us. Gary, great to see you. Good afternoon. How was Maresca's mood today?
Yes, good afternoon from the news conference room where we've just heard from Enzo Maresca. Another defeat for Chelsea. Of course, that's 3 defeats in 10 days for Chelsea and another red card, and suggestions that he was under pressure, which have since been denied by the club. And he's come out fighting a really feisty, unusually feisty performance from Maresca at this news conference. And he said, look, with a record like his Chelsea have got, 5 defeats only in the last 6 months, and 4 of those defeats were when the team have been reduced to 10 men because of a red card. He's saying it's a crazy world when he's under pressure and the team under pressure with those kind of stats. He says he's got a good feeling about the squad, about the team, about the future, and of course he knows there is pressure on to get a good performance in the Champions League tomorrow night after being well beaten by Bayern Munich in the first game of this season's competition. But as I say, a really feisty, confident performance here at the news conference from Maresca.
For sure, I think after review the last 2 games, Man United and Brighton with 10 players, for sure I could have done better probably in terms of decision, no doubt. But also for me, it's it's like a learning process to play with 10 players because I think for any manager it's not something normal. Unfortunately for us, happened 2 times, and the stats is that in the last again almost 6 months we lost 5 games. 4 of them with the red card: Newcastle, Flamengo, Man United and Brighton. And the only game that we lost 11-11 was Bayern Munich away. So that's why I said, for me personally, there is not any reason that we need to create panic, knowing that football, anyway, you know better than me, football is crazy world, you can, if you lost 5 games in 6 months, and you need to say things to defend yourself, that means that it's a crazy world. I don't think we need to defend ourselves in this moment, because the reality is that I have a very good feeling with the squad we have. I think compared to last season, we all improve the players because they can play games, they can have more experience. Me personally as a manager, I think I feel better than last year. The reason why is because I'm learning. For sure, there are many, many things that I need to learn. For instance, playing with 10 players, it's something that probably I need to do better. But it's part of the process, and I don't have any doubt that in the future we're going to be better and better.
So in 6 months, 5 defeats, 4 of those because, he says, of red cards. Next in the countdown is 3, that famous 3 gesture from Jose Mourinho. And as if the pressure wasn't on Enzo Maresca and his Chelsea side enough, this room where they've been holding the pre-match news conferences, where Jose Mourinho will be holding his pre-match news conference at around 6 o'clock this evening, is the Drake Suite. And it's surrounded with pictures of the man who won 3 Premier League trophies here. That one is final one. Over here, again, in view of that top table, in view of all the journalists, the second one that he won, Jose Mourinho, and yet another one further down. So you could see that the man who's coming here, the only man to have won all 3 current major European competitions, to face the only team to have won all 3 current European competitions, is still highly thought of by Chelsea, by the fans. Images everywhere, building the pressure on Enzo Maresca and his Chelsea team to get their first win in the Champions League this season. And he was speaking, was Enzo Maresca, about the privilege it will be to face Jose Mourinho tomorrow night.
The only thing I can say about Jose is the thing that I just said, that for me personally, it's a legend for this club. I'm from Italy. It's also a legend for Inter, where he won the Champions League. So it's legend for different clubs in the world that show how good has been and how good is Jose. Then in terms of what he deserves, to be honest, I'm not here to think what he deserves. I think he already showed how important manager has been and is.
Obviously, we know that Chelsea have had their injury problems. It's not the same team, is it, without Cole Palmer? He certainly won't be playing tomorrow night. He's out until after the international break. Chelsea will be training at their training ground around about now, and Enzo Maresca says he's got 3 other players who he's racing to see whether or not they'll be available because of slight injuries tomorrow night, including Moises Caicedo, João Pedro and Andre Santos.
All right,
Gary,
everyone.
thank you very much for now.
Welcome back to the channel. It's a bit gloomy out there after another Premier League defeat, this time at home to Brighton, but we've got to focus on what matters now, the massive Champions League tie tomorrow against Benfica. And the big news dominating the airwaves isn't the upcoming match itself, but the mounting pressure on the gaffer, Enzo Maresca. We had Gary Cottrell at the press conference earlier today, verified with searches dated the 29th of September 2025, confirming Maresca is the current manager. And let me tell you, Maresca was in an unusually feisty mood. You could feel the tension, the expectation, and honestly, a bit of disbelief from the manager himself about the questions being asked. It comes after what is now 3 defeats in 10 days for the Blues, with that home loss against Brighton topping off a rough patch, coupled with a disappointing start to the Champions League campaign against Bayern Munich. But here's the kicker, the stat that Maresca himself laid out, and he was absolutely livid about it. He stressed that in the last 6 months, Chelsea have only suffered 5 defeats. And get this, 4 of those 5 losses were when the team had been reduced to 10 men due to a red card. He specifically mentioned games against Newcastle, Flamengo, Manchester United, and the recent Brighton debacle. He pointed out that the only game they've lost 1-1 v 1-1 was the heavy defeat away to Bayern Munich. Maresca's message was crystal clear, delivered with real oomph. It's a crazy world if those kinds of stats put him under pressure. He insisted there is no reason to create panic within the club. This isn't just a PR spin, lads, it's a direct plea for perspective. He clearly feels that the narrative of a full-blown crisis is completely overblown when red cards have been such a massive factor in the recent run. The man has a point, doesn't he? We're shooting ourselves in the foot, and he's the one taking the flak. He ended that section by stating he has a very good feeling about the squad, the team, and the future. Look, you might agree or disagree with his methods, but you can't fault the passion or the logic of his defense. He's owning the fact that maybe he could have done better tactically when down to 10 men, calling it a learning process, but he won't be drawn into a wider panic. Before we dive into the Mourinho factor, a quick one. If you appreciate this kind of exclusive, straight-talking analysis and want to stay ahead of the game with the latest Chelsea news, do us a huge favour and smash that subscribe button. It helps the channel massively, and you won't miss a beat. The pressure cooker gets cranked up to 11 tomorrow night as we welcome Benfica to Stamford Bridge, which means the return of a true legend, Jose Mourinho. The irony, or maybe the pure genius of the schedulers, is that the pre-match press conference room, the Drake Suite, is plastered with pictures of the Special One and his 3 Premier League trophies. The visible presence of Mourinho's success is an unsubtle reminder of the high standards at this club, and it's certainly adding a layer of drama to Maresca's tough week. Maresca showed enormous respect for Mourinho, calling him a legend, not just for Chelsea, but also for Inter Milan, where he won the Champions League. It will be fascinating to see the 2 managers face off. Can Maresca's tactical approach stand up to the master of European football on a high-stakes night? And speaking of stakes, we can't forget the injury situation. The biggest blow is the continued absence of Cole Palmer, who is out until after the international break. Palmer, who was instrumental in our trophy wins last season, Chelsea won the UEFA Conference League and the Club World Cup in 2025, according to verified data, is sorely missed. Maresca also revealed he is racing against time to see if 3 other key players will be available for tomorrow, namely Moises Caicedo, João Pedro, and Andre Santos. Losing any of those 3, especially with the current mood, would be another tough one to swallow. The time for talking is almost over. Maresca has drawn a line in the sand with his press conference performance. He's asking for patience and demanding a fair appraisal based on the facts, particularly the red cards. Now, the players have to back that up on the pitch against Benfica. It's a huge night for Chelsea Football Club, and arguably the biggest test of Enzo Maresca's tenure so far.